Hello, R.C.W. Universe. Welcome to R.C.W. Top 10, your favorite top 10 in history. You gotta be damn sure of that. Anyway, this week we'll be counting down the top 10 R.C.W. pay-per-views. Last week we had Hell in a Cell for the second time ever, and it was an amazing pay-per-view to say the least. Make sure you check it out on the R.C.W. network. I highly recommend you go back and see all those main eventing Hell in a Cell matches. Anyway, I'd like to clarify before we get started, this is not by quality of matches, because trust me, this list would have taken like 3 weeks to make if we tried to remember each and every detail to each and every match and the qualities and quantities and whatever. So this is based on the card that was booked and what is rememberable. If we can't remember a match, clearly, more times than not, it's not worth remembering. So, without doing number 10 first, I'm going to do the 5 runner-ups next in place of number 10, and then we'll get on with the list. So let's get to the runner-ups. Okay, the 5 runner-ups was the very first SummerSlam. Now, I know a lot of people a lot of people that were there, such as Viper, Spency, Flames, are probably going to argue with this list, but on the contrary, really all it was Racunia winning a lot of things, being put into a lot of things that she really deserved because she was talented, but didn't deserve because she didn't earn them. And again, we also had Triple Rock in the World Heavyweight title match. And it was just non-stop giving title matches, but it was only about a week after we started. By then, we had only started RCW about a week ago. No, okay. Night of Champions, the very first one. Night of Champions, the very first one, was very similar to the second pay-per-view. We kind of gave people a little more rematch clause-ish. These were the days when we had rematch clauses and instantly gave them away. Then we came up with policies and rules on how they should work, so rematch clauses are a lot more complicated and hard to earn nowadays. It had Viper versus Kids for the R.C.W. Championship 2 times, and it had Racunia versus... Actually, to be 100% honest, we don't have a damn clue who it was. We believe it was a Freight Hacker, but that just shows you that we can't remember. Bragging Rights also is on that list of runner-ups. Now, really, a lot of people did not attend that pay-per-view, so it was really hard and choppy to make the Teams Raw and Team SmackDown. It also starred the debut of Raw WWE Superstars in world title matches, but that also happened at TLC, so we didn't really include that. We also included Payback because of the lack of quality in the R.C.W. title match, the somewhat lack of quality and disappointing results of the World Heavyweight title as it was eventually handed off. Same with the Intercontinental Championship. The match itself was alright, but the fact that both titles were gone kind of ruined the mood. The second Hell in a Cell is also on that list. Now, I know it was a great pay-per-view, great matches, but it is hard to compare with some of the cards of the ones that are up there. They are just insane, and you'll see why. But Hell in a Cell 2 would definitely be number 11 on this list. I think it was amazing. And TLC, despite that was where Kids won his record-setting title reign, that just did not make it on the list because the card was not well rounded. And geez, I've been talking for like an hour, so I'm going to get to the RCW Top 10 pay-per-views. And at number 10 is Night of Champions, the second one. This is the pay-per-view before Hell in a Cell. The main event featured Ethan versus Beast, the rematch and conclusion to their rivalry one-on-one for the World Heavyweight Championship, and resulted in Ethan winning, but I recommend you go back and check that out on R.C.W. Network. It was Kendall versus Kids, a newcomer looking for his chance at glory, barely out of his grasp, but by the shortest margin ever, Kids is able to retain the RCW Championship. And for the Raw WWE Championship, one of the big rivalries of the day, Mattis and Agent came to a close with Agent walking out victorious. We also saw a U.S. title match. I believe that was Mattis versus Mamam, and we saw Flakuchu become the first rookie to win an acclaimed championship, and the Warriors become tag team champions. Coming in at number 9 is Extreme Rules 2014. Well, there was only one, so obviously just Extreme Rules for the time being. Anyway, the 3 world title matches featured a lot of Legion of Doom / Corporation versus D-Generation X in their major blockbuster feud that's featured good match after good match. It was a hell of a rivalry. It also made it on the top 10 rivalries list. Anyway, It was Ness versus Kids for the RCW Championship, originally scheduled to be an Extreme Rules type lumberjack match. If you leave the ring, you get attacked by the lumberjacks. It's as simple as that. Although, due to major interference issues by lumberjacks entering the ring, trying to attack people, trying to clothesline people, it ended up hectic and was rescheduled to be just a normal one-on-one with no countouts the way it always is. Kids was able to retain the RCW Championship that night. The World Heavyweight Championship saw a bout between Eddie Armour and Flame 321. Flame 321 was the only World Champion contender dash champion to not be in the Legion of Doom / Corporation versus Degeneration X storyline. It also saw Eddie's second longest title reign in history, longest world heavyweight, come to an end with Flame defeating Eddie in a Hell in a Cell match. Brooke versus King for the Road WWE Championship was scheduled to be a normal contest with a manager at side. Both, I believe, Kids and Eddie were at the side of their respective teammates, and it saw Brooke just barely incapable to beat out King, and King walked away the Road WWE Champion. Also for the Intercontinental Championship, we saw the first and only to this date coffin match between Flame 321 and the designer for the match, Ness Quick, won for the Intercontinental Championship, which Flame 321 was able to walk out victorious. Coming in at number 8 is the second SummerSlam. It saw the debut of a brand new Beast Mode is activated when he won the World Heavyweight Championship off of Ethan, something that a lot of people hoped he would do, but some thought he could not do because they just didn't think Beast had what it took to win a world title, but he showed all them haters wrong. Anyway, it saw Flame versus Kids Rock 4 at the main event for the RCW Championship, reopening a year-long rivalry - partnership in one final match for the RCW Championship. It featured for the Raw WWE Championship Mattis versus Ness, and Mattis was able to walk away as a two-time Raw WWE Champion, continuing the legacy of Mattis. With that, I do believe that was pretty much all the matches that went on. Oh, and I think Mattis won the United States title that night. Coming in at number 7, the main event was for both World Championships with league names in them. The Raw WWE Championship and the RCW Championship were put on the line in a one-on-one contest between Ethan and Kids Rock 4, two people that went far back into Raw WWE and then became partners - rivals in the group RCW. They put their titles on the line, and Kids Rock 4 was able to claim both world championships to become what I do believe was a 6-time world champion at the time, and it was able to end Ethan's reign as Raw WWE Champion. It also saw for the Money in the Bank briefcase, it was Beast who walked away with the RCW briefcase, which eventually was traded in for a World Heavyweight match and a Tag Team title match. And it saw Ness walk away the World Heavyweight Champion that night. We also saw Eddie vacate the title of of World Heavyweights, the World Heavyweight title, and was given off to Ranger. Ranger then defended it about a week later and was able to earn his right as a deserving World Heavyweight Champion. And at number 6 is the Elimination Chamber. This main evented with 2 Elimination Chamber matches for both the RCW Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. Fun fact, both times the champion retained and came in at number 5, making the number 5 spot the most common to retain from at this point. It featured Kids being able to help and manipulate Beast Mode is activated to walk away the RCW Champion that night, and Eddie wiggled his way around. Although being one of the most hated in that match at the time, he was able to walk away World Heavyweight Champion once again in that match. Both matches that nobody expected for Kids and Eddie to walk out. We also saw World Tag Team title matches, Tag Team title matches, I do believe both of which involved the Corporation. and much, much more. All in all, it was able to top some of the list with their amazing Elimination Chamber matches. Coming in at number 5 is Hell in a Cell, the very first one. Now, this happened approximately a year ago as of last week. It saw Flames versus Kids in a double main event with the Intercontinental title going on the line between Flames and Kids. Flames, the current champion, in one side, and Kids Rock 4 with the R.C.W. Championship going one-on-one with Flames. Flames was victorious both times at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It also saw Afraid win the World Heavyweight Championship. I do believe that is the pay-per-view that he walked away successful, not Night of Champions. Sorry, this is very, very confusing and hard to keep up with. It's just hard to keep up with, so don't blame me if I get some wrong. I'll try to correct them as I go, but I believe Afraid won his World Heavyweight Championship that night, and Flames walked away the Intercontinental R.C.W. Champion. I also saw Viper defeating Triple Rock to win back the United States Championship for what I do believe at the time was the 4th reign. Coming in at number... I changed out of suit. It was getting really uncomfortable. My apologies. It'll be on next time for all you people that love the suit. Anyway, coming in at number 4 is the Royal Rumble event, which was synonymous with the Royal Rumble match, which was won by iSporticus, or Sport 123, entering approximately between 26 and 28. It is not confirmed, but we believe that was the area. She would later use her Royal Rumble victory at WrestleMania to go for the Raw WWE Championship, but that's irrelevant to this pay-per-view, so moving on. Kids Rock 4 took on Brooksy, or Brooksy 4 at the time, for the main event at the R.C.W. title match, where Kids was successful in retaining against Brooke in his first defense of the R.C.W. Championship, and Flames Dude 44, who fought Ricky Green, Olgie Nigel, they were both at the pay-per-view, so it was kind of confusing. But Ricky Green, Olgie Nigel, barely lost out to Flames Dude 44, who retained the World Heavyweight Championship and kept Olgie Nigel 100% world title-less. Anyway, we also saw the world's longest United States title reign in RCW history come to an end when Viper beat out his longtime rival for the United States Championship. Beast Mode was activated, the Rockstar, or Butchie Teen Beach movie, and then he would win it back a little bit later. The Intercontinental title match saw Hungary beat out Ness again, and I believe it might have happened twice, but Hungary walked out the Intercontinental Champion, and that is Royal Rumble. Coming in at number 3, featured no RCW title match, but it's high up there because of its King of the Ring match. Obviously WrestleMania. No, seriously. It is the King of the Ring pay-per-view where nobody expected it, but Ethan, among all people, among the 8 people in the King of the Ring tournament, walked away the King of the Ring victor and challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship against Nesquik, won and walked away your World Heavyweight Champion, which started a big rivalry, but that's irrelevant at this point. Ness would also challenge Kids Rock 4 due to being a Road WWE person, and Kids Rock 4, due to lack of actual care for the title, would challenge Ness for the Road WWE Championship, in which Ness would dominate Kids in a completely trying match, I'm sure. Anyway, the highlights of that pay-per-view were 100% focused on the King of the Ring, but nobody can forget the emotion that flowed when Mattis was trying to regain his spot as the King of the Ring victor. Eddie versus Brooke took on each other, and Ethan walked away the surprise victor and became a World Heavyweight Champion. Coming in at number 2 is The Road to WrestleMania. This debuted the title Raw WWE World Title and debuted the World Tag Team Championships, both of which Brooke held along with Kids for the World Tag Team Championship. Brooke would win a big 6-man contest with Kaipo, Ultimate, Ness, and 2 other Raw WWE superstars along with Brooke to make it an even 6-man contest. Surprisingly enough, Brooke would walk away against all odds against many of the best that Raw WWE had to offer, but I guess it doesn't come to much surprise as she did hold it for the 2nd longest reign in history. Kids would defend at Road to WrestleMania also against Brooke, but Brooke was unsuccessful in capturing the RCW Championship. At this point, a brand new era was about to hatch. At WrestleMania, the new era would come, but Eddie would win the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time and would start a brand new chain of new world champions instead of just a back and forth ping pong game as he defeated Ultimate Killer. And then Eddie would go on to be one of the faces of the new generation era. And I guess it's no mistake by the corporation to decide the match Ultimate versus Eddie after the title was vacated, because it did lead on to a brand new era. And yet at number one, it's not even worth trying to hide it. It's obvious. You probably all expected it, and it's gonna sound cliche, but when you realize every single match that went on to it, all the storyline building up to it, the fact that it had 6 weeks to make big promotions for the pay-per-view, it was obviously WrestleMania, with the main events being Sport versus Brooke for the second time, one for the Divas Championship, but the main one being for the Raw WWE Championship, when Sport would use her Royal Rumble victory to go for the Raw WWE Championship. Brooke would barely be able to hold on to the title against the hungry challenger Sport, who would never end up actually capturing the World Championship. It would also take one of the biggest rivalries in history, Eddie versus Ness, and they would fight in a very close, very electric match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Most people were cheering for Ness to finally see him capture the world crown, but Eddie was able to, through all the heel movements, all the dirty tactics he had in his trick book, he was able to walk away the World Heavyweight Champion. And we technically had 2 scheduled RCW title matches. We saw Kids Rock 4 scheduled to take on Hungry Sniperfish in a legend versus legend match that nobody would be able to predict the winner, but due to Hungry Sniperfish departing from the company around the time, Kids Rock 4 would pick new opponents and would pick Viper and Beast Modes activated, 3 best of their era at the time, 2 people who had never gone for the RCW Championship during the reign, with the exception of the Elimination Chamber, which was 6 men. It was a triple threat, one for the ages that can never be forgotten. There was also an undisputed chance to become the United States and Intercontinental Champion between Mater and Ranger. Prior to the pay-per-view, there was many different matches disputing who would be the Intercontinental and United States Champion walking into the pay-per-view, but Ranger was able to walk away the grandest stage of them all, both minor championships in hand. Thank you, RCW Universe, for checking out the RCW Top 10. Now, I'm sure anyone that featured in a main event level tag team match is probably not going to be too happy that I did leave it out when giving my speech about them. My apologies. My memory is not the best, especially when it's improv memory. I do not, by any circumstances, I have a couple jot ideas, but I have those all in my head. I never write them down. So anything I say is completely thought up on the spot, but I do have a fairly good memory when it comes to all things RCW. Anyway, thank you for checking out this episode of RCW Top 10. I hope you don't regret it. Make sure to go back to check out last week's pay-per-view, all this week's shows. We upload every single day, and now I don't have to work every weekend. In fact, I probably didn't have to work this weekend since we recorded this a little early. And other than that, make sure to check out the other RCW Top 10s. And I am Kids Rock 4, and I approve. Dang, that sucks. And I approve this